Welcome back to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. Our mission is to share what we have learned from our experience and the experience of others to help you make more money investing like a pro. We want to teach you how to create wealth by investing in real estate the Discount Property Investor way. To jumpstart your real estate investing career, visit freewholesalecourse.com, the most complete free course on wholesaling real estate ever. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Discount Property Investor Podcast, where we teach you how to make money in real estate and how to buy properties at a discount. You make your money when you buy, you get paid when you sell. You've heard me say this a million times now if you are an active listener, but that is how we make money in real estate. Today, I am joined by a special guest, Mr. William Tingle, and Mr. William Tingle is with sub2deals.com, and he's got an amazing YouTube channel. That's actually where I discovered him at, and it's Sub2Deals is the name of the channel, and I'm excited to have him on today to talk about Sub2Deals. Let's do it. William, thank you for joining. Welcome to the show, my friend. What's going on? Muted.
Don't even have my mic on. Okay.
There you go. There you go. We got you, buddy. No problem. We're happy to have you.
I'm a real estate investor. I'm not very smart. Fortunately, you don't have to be smart to invest in real estate. But thanks so much,
exactly
David, for having me on. I really appreciate it. So, yeah.
Hey, we're happy that you're here, William. So again, I discovered your channel and you had some cool content, and I'm glad that you were able to come on. I reached out and said, let's get this guy on the show. Let's learn a little bit more about William as an investor, and you've been putting out tons of great content, and I wanted to just talk a little bit about Sub2 today as well, man. So let's start with, tell us a little bit about your history and how you got started and how long you've been in the game, and we'll go from there.
Okay, great. Same story as a lot of people. I was in a job I hated. I've been in the restaurant industry for 20 years. Picked up a Carlton Sheets course on late night TV in 1999. And the only difference between me and most people that bought it is I opened it up and did what the guy said to do and started buying houses and quit my job in 12 months. And I've been a happily unemployed real estate investor since 1999. So that's the short version of my story. But for about 10 years, bought 30, 40 houses a year in Macon, Georgia. And in 2010, left the country, lived in Belize for several years, started buying remotely, really refined the process, and have bought about a dozen houses a year since then. Nothing real big, but like I said, really refined the process.
Consistent though.
Yeah, since then.
Consistent. So when did you start? What year did you say?
Bought my first house in August of 1999.
Holy cow. I was like a freshman in high school, maybe even in 8th grade at the time. You've been in the game for a minute, man. I like it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really love the most is the consistency. It doesn't sound like you were doing 200-300 houses a year, but you've been consistently buying houses since 94. Holy cow. That's awesome.
Yep.
You probably bought 500, 600, 700 houses at this point, right?
Yeah. We're somewhere between 600 and 700 right now. You lose count after a while, but that was the key thing. The reason I wanted to be an investor, I wanted to do something different. I worked 70 hours a week and I wanted a life. And, you don't have to buy 200 or 300 houses a year to have a really good income and travel and just enjoy stuff. My wife and I right now, we're on what we call the epic road trip. We spend a few months at a time in different places. We're hanging out in Apollo Beach, Florida for the next few months. And I don't know where we'll go after that, but we've been doing that for the past year. So, just having a good time.
Man, that is awesome. That is phenomenal. I want to just take a second and applaud you. Let's get some sound effects in here. The reason I love this and I want to applaud you is because a lot of people, they get into real estate and they get into real estate because they want freedom. They want to be their own boss. But you know what happens to most people? They go from the 40-hour job to the 60, 70, 80-hour job. And, it's to them, it's about doing more and making more. And a lot of people are very successful.
Right.
That's hopefully people listen to this podcast will pick up a couple tips and learn how to do this, and they'll go be very successful. But they lose sight. It's not about success necessarily. It's about losing sight of freedom. And I want to applaud you because that's what real estate can provide. So let it. Quit chasing the next deal or the next zero in your bank account, the next comma, whatever you want to call that. So very cool, William. Super happy to have you. Let's talk about Sub 2, man. Thanks for giving us your backstory too, man. That's really interesting. So Sub 2, why Sub 2? And, what are the benefits of it?
Right. Well, when I got started, I was like most new investors. I had shiny object syndrome and I'd pop from thing to thing. And when I discovered Sub 2, I mean, even though when I got started, I had great credit and, had access to a little bit of cash, what I learned very quickly was if I wanted to replace my job income, the banks would only give me so many loans probably before they cut me off. So I really couldn't create the lifestyle that I wanted. When I discovered Subject 2, I realized that I could buy as many houses as I wanted. A lot of times I didn't have to have any money. People just hand you the keys, they walk away. My credit's never an issue. So I could literally just buy whatever, whenever. I didn't have to apply for a loan with a bank, hope they would say yes, and do that sort of thing. So when I changed my business model in 2010, I literally just took a legal pad and wrote pros and cons, the things that I liked, the things that I didn't like about the past 10 years of investing, trying to be a transaction engineer. And what it really came down to was taking over payments. In a lot of cases, we bailed people out of foreclosure. We were able to help a lot of people. And that's what I really liked. And I liked selling with seller financing. So like I said, we really dial this thing in. We can buy zero equity properties and make 50, 60 grand off of them in 36-month period. We call that the 12-house blueprint. So you can create a $500,000 a year income, literally buying 12 houses a year. That's what I teach my students.
Holy cow. And you can do it with zero equity.
With zero equity. You absolutely can.
All right. So you got to give us the 30-second, 45-second spiel on how this works. Obviously, we're not going to be able to take this and run with it, obviously. Right. But I'm curious to just see like the basics, like, the blueprint on it.
Sure. Well, the very basics on this thing, if I have a seller that calls me up today, maybe it's someone in the military with a VA loan. They got transferred into their town 2 years ago. They did what most people in the military do. They go out, they buy a house, they pay full price, they put nothing down. And then in this scenario, let's just say it's a $300,000 house. They bought it for $300,000. They financed $310,000. 2 years later, they get orders. They owe $305,000. It's worth $300,000. Maybe now it's worth $320,000, but they don't even have enough equity to buy to get a realtor. They call us up. We say, yes, we can take over your payment.
Isn't that crazy? I just got to stop you for 1 second. Isn't that crazy? People will have a little equity, but not enough to even hire an agent, and they get stuck. Right. And you help them.
That's right.
That's awesome. So I'm sorry. I have a bad habit of interrupting. I didn't mean to do it. I won't do it again. No, but I wanted to highlight that. Holy cow. And you can help them.
Yes, we can.
This is great. So go ahead, please.
So I know the market's hopping right now, but there are pockets around the country that aren't so much. And that's where you've got to focus. But let's say in this scenario, again, the house is worth $320,000. They owe $305,000. They only have $15,000 in equity. And you and I both know that's not real equity. By the time you factor out cost to sell, they got nothing. They're in the military. They don't have a ton of cash. They can't come out of pocket and pay a realtor. What do? They got to be across the country in 60 days. So they call us up. We take over the payments. The house is legitimately worth $320,000. We may mark it up just a little bit, say to $330,000, $335,000, just a tad. We'll market that house. We owe $305,000. We get a buyer, get them in. They give us $30,000 down, about 10%. We now have a note from our buyer for $305,000. Guess what? We owe $305,000. So we're at the same level here at this point. But
you pocketed 30 though.
But we pocketed 30 on the front end. Now our loan is at 3%. Our buyer's loan is at 6%. We create a spread on the interest rate. We typically will get $400 to $500 a month in cash flow. Okay. Now, so we got 30 in our pocket. We've got 400 to 500 a month in cash flow. We both owe the same amounts on our notes. Our note pays out much faster than our buyer because we're 2 years in. Plus, we've got the interest rate spread. So we work with our buyer to be able to get financing within the next 36 months. During the 36, we collect $500 a month in cash flow. That's another $18,000. And on the back end, by the time they refinance, we will have built up another somewhere around $10,000, $12,000 in equity. So we've got 30 on the front, 18 in the middle, and another 10 on the back end. What's that give you? Another, so $58,000 profit on a zero equity deal in 36 months.
Holy cow. Well, that is awesome. Okay. So I'm taking notes over here. So one of the things that I really liked about this strategy is you're getting people to put down roughly 10%.
Right.
And on a higher price home, that's $300K, that is 30 grand. So one of the things that I was going to ask you is how do you prevent people from going in and tearing the house up? Well, if they're going to give you 30 grand, they're going to take care of that place, right? And then another question, so I already answered my question. The other question that I had right away was, how do you convince the seller that you or anybody that you assign or lease option to isn't going to tear the house up? So how do you respond to that?
Well,
to the seller, of course.
First of all, we're dealing with a motivated seller. These guys have to be across the country. Like I said, in our example, we're talking about VA loans. So they have few options. If you do get the question, first of all, I'm not going to lease their house. I'm not going to lease option their house. I'm going to sell this house with seller financing. This isn't going to be a tenant inside this house.
Okay.
These people
so
have
there's no property management essentially with this.
Not at all.
You're going to buy it.
Right.
And then you're going to sell it, but you're buying it on terms and you're essentially selling it on terms.
We sell on a contract for deed. We retain legal title and give them equitable title and all the rights of ownership.
Man, I love that. Okay. And then when you buy it, you are buying it subject to, right?
Exactly.
Subject to the existing loan.
We get the deed.
And you're essentially helping people out. Are you paying them anything on top ever? Let's say that they were to give you the deal at 290 and it's worth 310. You give them $5,000 or no?
Sure, we will. If it makes sense for us, we'll do it. If they need moving money, if they insist on, in this scenario that I just gave you, we know we'll collect historically between 8 and 10% as a down payment. So we'll get $26,000 to $30,000 down. So I'm cool with giving that seller up to the amount we would get from our buyer. If I go into this deal, even with nothing in my pocket up front, but I'm creating a $500 a month cash flow, and the money that I had to give my seller up front, I'll recoup on the back end anyway. It doesn't change my overall profit on this deal, but it's just like someone, even if I get nothing up front, someone's handing me a deal that'll give me a check for $500 a month and I've got nothing in it. Will I still do that? Absolutely, I would.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, man. I love it. So you mentioned VA loans 2 or 3 times now. Is that the bread and butter, is finding these people that have these VA loans?
Well, because
of the fact, or please go ahead.
No, I was just going to say 2/3 of our business was foreclosures up until the moratorium. And then those went away. So you have to look for other things to focus on. Now, VA loans are great because a lot of times they're no equity. They're highly motivated. But now that the foreclosures are back, well, it's a different story then. So now you've got those you can work with too.
So on the foreclosure topic, William, you've been investing longer than me, but I've been in this game 18 years. I got 90 rental property units, and I've done about 750 wholesales, about 1,000 transactions. So I know a thing or two. Okay. And I have always thought that it made more sense to go and market and contact and connect with people that are in pre-foreclosure versus foreclosure. But what's your take on it? Obviously, foreclosure means that they're much closer to losing it. Right. So just real quick, what are the pros and cons of foreclosure versus pre-foreclosure? Or are you grouping these in the same bucket?
I group them in the same scenario, but depending on what state you work in, for example, I've done a ton of business in Georgia. Well, Georgia's got about a 28-day process, start to finish.
That's quick.
Listen, they file on the first Saturday of the month. It comes out in the paper on the first Tuesday of next month. It's at the auction. There's no time to mess around. So what's the pre-foreclosure timeline there? It's not very much. But you come to Florida, where I am now, foreclosure can drag on a year or two. So it's a much longer.
It can go
process.
that long, huh?
Right. But here's the thing with me
cow.
is that I focus on being able to help people in a very short time frame, because so many investors don't know the things they need to know to stop an auction a day or two beforehand. So, I could, if somebody gets filed on today in Florida and they just consult an attorney, they know they've got a year or two before they have to think about anything. They're not highly motivated. They know they can ride for a while. Now in Georgia, it's a different story. But the same token, people in Florida, a month before the auction, their degree of motivation goes up quite a bit. So it depends on where you're working. If you want to call it pre-foreclosure or foreclosure, they've got an issue, and we just want to talk with them about.
And that's really what I was getting at. Regardless of how close they are to losing it, they're having issues, and they know they have issues probably well before we know they have issues. And that's really all that matters. Obviously, I'm not arguing. I was just curious on your opinion. Yeah, because I'm always curious. So this is really awesome. The ability to take a property with little to no equity, buy it on terms, help a seller win, sell it on terms, help a buyer win,
right,
and get paid 30, 40, 50 grand in the middle as the investor. Huge win, triple win. Everybody wins. You get to make money. You get to help people. And I think a lot of these, a lot of real estate podcasts and shows and this and that, they're all about me. How do I get paid? How do I make you money so you get paid? And that's great and all, but people lose track of how do we also help people in the process. It makes it fun when you help people and get paid. And that's what you're doing. And once again, I love it, man. This guy here, you are crushing the game, William. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Tell us about sub2deals.com. Tell us about your YouTube channel. You guys are putting out great content.
Right. Well, I got started as an investor 3, 4, 5 years in. I was doing very well, quit our job in the first 12 months. And I was just getting bombarded with questions and phone calls. How can you help me? What can you do? And so I put together a training course, the Ultimate Sub-2 Guidebook, how to do it start to finish. And that's what we offer in addition to a couple of other courses at sub2deals.com. We put together our YouTube channel. We give a ton of free content, new videos every single day over there. So we would love to have people come over, subscribe to our channel. Just go to YouTube, type in Sub2 Deals, SUB, the number 2 deals, and subscribe. Check us out. So we'd love to have you come over.
So that's sub SUB number 2 deals, DEALS, all one word.
All one word.
That's the channel name, guys. Sub 2 deals, 2 as the number, all one word. Great content daily. And then go to check out sub2deals.com. They got some great stuff over there with courses and just a bunch of content to help you guys learn how to do this, how to work with Will, how to use his strategies, how to make money, and guys, ultimately how to help people that need our help. I think this is amazing. Will, any parting words for the audience today? And by the way, I'm super grateful for your time. Thanks for coming on my show. And you've provided a ton of value already, man. This has been a great episode.
Well, thanks, David. The last thing I'd like to tell everybody, we recently started a very inexpensive coaching program. A lot of people can't afford to put out 5 figures for coaching. But I've been coaching people for almost 20 years. We started a coaching program. It's called $7 Coaching. The number 7, $7coaching.com. I actually answer all the students' questions on a weekly basis. And there's just a lot of content there. They can go to $7coaching.com and check it out. And beyond that, I would just say this. You can't buy houses if you don't talk to sellers. So what my parting line on all of our podcasts is talk to some sellers and buy some houses.
Man, I love that. Talk to some sellers and buy houses. That is so true. William, real quick, one of the first things that one of my original coaches, I've had several coaches and constantly have coaches, I'm sure you're like that too. You just love to take in new information. But one of the things that one of my very first coaches told me that stuck with me was the amount of offers you make is going to equal the amount of money you make. But you make offers. You talk to sellers.
Right.
So I love it. You nailed it. Very cool. William, thanks for coming on the show. Really quick, what was the last domain you had mentioned? $7. Is that SEVEN or is that number 7?
The number 7.
Okay.
$7coaching.com.
$7coaching.com, guys. Check it out. William, thanks for being a guest on the show. Tons of value. Love the YouTube channel. Keep it going. And we'll have to get you back on the show down the road to get some updates. But this has been an amazing episode. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks, David. I appreciate it. Enjoyed being here.
All right, guys, you heard it from the man, William Tingle here, and he is got a ton of content. Don't forget, check out discountpropertyinvestor.com for all of the podcasts. We have transcriptions over there. We even have some free courses to help you get in the game, learn how to market, and how to get that first wholesale deal. And with that, signing off. Thanks for listening to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach a wider audience. To jumpstart your real estate investing career, visit freewholesalecourse.com, the most complete free course on wholesaling real estate ever. We would also appreciate it if you left us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Thank you in advance for your support. And remember, you make your money when you buy, you get paid when you sell. Now let's go build some wealth.